This is WTVD-11 together, Durham-Raleigh, North Carolina. It's 6 o'clock.
Boston Redevelopment Authority. The entire business
From North Carolina's News Center, this is Eyewitness News at 6 with Bob Hughes, Beverly Burke, Don Shea, and Cheryl Coney.
Good evening, everybody. On this Friday, March 7, 1980, here's what's happening now with this news, the 6 o'clock report. Top story at 6 is a Muslim militant sold in the U.S. Embassy in Tehran said today that
this entire family is shaken.
They would not turn their American hostages over to Iran's real and revolutionary council as promised until the militants are given hearing before the Iranian people. Their new condition is disclosed by a spokesman for the Young Radicals in a telephone interview with a reporter in the Iranian capital. He said they are now demand that the Iranian people know what we have to say before the council. It is requested by the militants on Thursday. Take over responsibility for the approximately 20 Americans. Another spokesman said earlier the group would likely appear on a television and radio program and explain the truth to the motion. The militants are approved to the council's intention to have UN investigate a commission on Iran to visit hostages. A statement appeared to throw a roadblock into plans announced earlier today by the Iranian Foreign Minister Sadegh Ghotamani to transfer the hostages to the embassy compound probably Saturday. It was not clear whether the latest statements from the militants have been communicated to the government authority who were immediately available for comment. The new demand was disclosed after Tehran radio reported that Iranian protesters in the second day of demonstrations in support of the militants searched parts of the embassy, shouting slogans calling on them not to give up the hostages to a revolutionary council. The demonstrators have demanded that Iran not comprise the United States. Play this twist in the Tehran drama could set up another showdown between the young militants and President Hassan Hani Sadr. He denounced them as not have among the dictators and the government within the government and ordered the national broadcast system and not to give them automatic airtime. In the statement Thursday, calling on the council to take delivery of the hostages. The militants bitterly asked and noted that they
and he tried to hang himself. His condition
now opposed to a visit to the hostages by the UN Commission. They said a visit favored by
permission for her to go to the hospital to make medical decisions for her husband. Marion Burbine charged with reckless child.
Sadr and the rest of the council was not consistent with the money line that is within the opinion of revolutionary leader editorial committee, but they said that they would give up the hostages because they have pressure put on them by the Rami Sadr government. Rami Sadr said meaning gave the council authorization to decide on the UN Commission.
13 children.
Invested his office. Kazabak said today that once the hostages were moved into another location, the UN passed on the UN panel would visit them. Tehran radio confirmed that even if the council takes custody of the hostages, they may still face long weeks of captivity. He said that it take the decided now by the nation's representatives Islamic Assembly. This reaffirmed statement 2 weeks ago. Washington wholesale prices soared 1.5% in February. Nearly mentioned January's surge, but unemployment declined slightly to 6%. The government reported today. February's increase in the Labor Department Producer Price Index showed little improvement from January's 1.6% rise, in good part because of reduced increases in gasoline and home heating and oil prices. Prices that producer level can have one step short of retail continue to rise for the next 10 months at the same rate as the first two. Inflation at wholesale will exceed 30% at the compounded rate of 1980. Wholesale prices last year were up 13.5%, the largest increase since the middle of East oil embargo, and prices soared more than 10% in 1974. John Early, a Labor Department economist, and things would have to say awfully bad for prices at wholesale level to rise a record 30% this year. It seems unthinkingly a capacity would have come on a major showdown in business, Carly said. Many economists had predicted a recession last year. It didn't occur now, and less than out of the government and the downturn, but not until later in 1980. Later Department and report of unemployment showed joblessness down 1.82% in trained to 6% in February, but both months about 6.3 million persons were out of work. The statistic indicators that the economy continues to prolong despite some predictions that a recession could be expected early this year. The unemployment rate averaged about 5.8% last year and averaged from 5.7% to 5.9% in the next 13 months ended last December. As an answer for price increases on crude oil imported from members of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, again the main cause of the nation's inflation problem, and John Lang, Labor Department analyst. The rate increase in OPEC prices in the fall and more than the start of the year. Lang noted most of them have a significant factor. Raleigh, the State Board of Education Thursday took the first step toward adding a writing requirement in the state's high school contemporary test. The board said a decline in writing ability approved a pilot project that would add a writing section in some copies of the next fall's test. The project would be used to determine whether a writing requirement can or should be added permanently. The project would involve at least 500 students in one or more school districts. The competency test, which students must pass to receive the high school diploma, now measures only a student's knowledge in mathematics and reading. The writing section would require students to demonstrate the ability to write a column, legibility, and grammatically correct letter report. We are not talking about making the students become ports or writers in a commercial. Seeing the term, said James J. Gallagher, chairman of the State Competency Testing Commission. We are saying the student should have the ability to communicate in writing, he said. Gallagher said a paid project was needed because it was more difficult to grade writing and to grade multiple choice math and reading questions. He said only a few states have tried it. Coupled with Afghanistan, the Soviet Union has begun a massive air and world supply caravan subordinates estimated to 80,000 ships in a long weighted spring offensive against Muslim rebels in Afghanistan. Chant for engine Ilshian jet transport to the Soviet civil airline airflight have been landed and taken off from Kabul airport at a rate of 1 every 30 minutes over much of the past 2 days. White and blue planes line up in turn and many as 4 at a time, along with a jerky runaway disengagement there. Cargoes downrange from their wide radars from the airport terminal villain, and scores of Soviet soldiers could be seen unloading wooden boxes from there. WQK-FM in Greenfield went off the air for about 1.5 hours on Thursday night when a section of the station's new 8 and 14-foot tower came tumbling down, also causing the tower for WPET to fall. Station manager Tom Amshaw said the tower fell about midnight, but WRQK went out the air back at about 1:24 a.m. WPET went on the air scheduled this morning. A tower crew had put up the so the top section late Thursday, but weren't able to completely finish the installation before night. Station officials said a gust of wind could have toppled the tower, and Armstrong said that the station was broadcasted from the section still remaining. Was estimated that the tower's fall would put completion about 3 weeks beyond schedule. Fightville, an officer with the Army's anti-terrorist unit at Fort Bragg, will be returned to Florida to stand trial on charges of comparing to blow up a showboat in a house. According to authorities, Thursday, Major Charles Whittles has waived extradition. He was arrested last week in Fightville on indictment charges returning to Florida last month. Whittle was indicted with Robert Gray Passer and Al P. Qualls Jr. in the 4-count bill. The three are accused of transporting composition C4 explosives to Florida to destroy a showboat known as the General Robert E. Lee, which was moored at Fort Walton Beach. The conspiracy alleged took place in June 1975. According to Diamond, on June 16, 1975, Whittle had 2 packages containing detonations on the C4 explosive in a wooded area. Outside Atlanta, it alleges that 5 more and another unidentified person flew to Atlanta from California on June 17th and picked up the packages containing explosives. The men allegedly carried them by bus from Atlanta to Fort Walton Beach. Pastor was accused of constructing an explosive device using a coffee can, a funnel, a battery, a clock, tape, magnets, and a C4 explosive. The indictment says the 3 men conspired and agreed to device the scheme to defraud the Allstate Insurance Company of her insurance companies sponsored by the Loudon Agency of Atlanta and Georgia. Raleigh. President Carter made a personal phone call to North Carolina Elections Director at home Wednesday night because he wasn't happy with the way his name was to be on the May 6th primary election ballot. The president wanted to make sure his name is listed as Jimmy Carter, but not James E. Carter as originally planned by state officials, and he would win his case. I didn't think he was all that I'd upset some of his campaign people were, said Alex Buck, state election director. He talked very calmly about it and said he would appreciate it. He had understood that I was convinced that he was Jimmy, but now Brock definitely is persuaded. If the President of the United States tells you that is his legal name and he has documents to prove it, ought to be damned if I'm going to adopt it, Brock said. To be totally honest with you, I thought it was some of my clever friends playing a joke on me until I recognized I was worried. And he started talking to them about the conversation I had with his legal staff. And then, of course, I knew that nobody else could know that happened to them. The election office was following orders to the Carter's legal name, which is thought was James A. Carter, according to Ken Bob, chairman of the State Board of Elections. His attorney was said that his name has been legally changed to Jimmy Carter. He said that the president must agree to the trustees. That way they have a court order that says what his name is, but we didn't find out about it until this week. They don't send an order around to every public official that is deal with the about saying that the name has been changed. Bob said it's just a set of circumstances that happened to us. We're calling out the candidates that changes the ballot name.
This won't be your grandfather's Boston anymore, where they still roll up the sidewalks at 2 a.m. Extending
State Court of Appeals Judge Richard Irwin, citing health reasons, has decided to withdraw his name for a federal judgeship, according to his source. The source says that Irwin fears that he may have diabetes and that his condition would prevent him from adequately handling the job. U.S. Senator Robert Morgan, Democrat of North Carolina, nominated Irwin in November. Irwin decided and confirmed the report that he would withdraw. If Irwin withdraws some of the names previously considered by Morgan that may be back in the run, and one public observer said that Representative Henry Pratt, Democrat of Greensboro, a black attorney, would be high at the post unless Irwin is black. Others that were considered include George Miller, a Durham lawyer, and legislator Cecil Porter, a North Wilkesboro lawyer, and Superior Court Judge William S. Ward of Winston-Salem. Charlotte Federal Highway Administration officials said they will review the case of an Albemarle truck driver who was charged with reckless driving while has been ready after waste at Durham County. 38 was convicted of reckless driving, fined $75 in order to take a course in drunk driving rehabilitation. The conviction was urged for moving violation 3 years, according to North Carolina Division of Motor Vehicle Records. Neither Erd nor his employer could be reached to determine what kind of radioactive material Erd was carrying wherever they parked with Hicks. Attending highway patrols records showed Erd was driving a flatbed trailer regulated R&R truck in Company Marietta, Georgia. But no man firm is listening in his doing business there. The Erd case apparently involves more than a reckless driving comparison. He may have violated federal rules by driving a route that was not approved for carrying radioactive material, leaving his cargo parked overnight at his home, and timing his trip from Pennsylvania to Raven, South Carolina, where the Devon station was closed for the weekend. Highway Patrol Trooper Kerry Allison stopped Erd shortly after midnight December 1st while Erd was traveling south on North Carolina 52 near Salisbury. Allison originally charged that Erd was drunk and driving, but agreed to reduce the charge with him. The driver told him he had stopped along the highway to drink 3 hours. Allison said Erd posted a reading of .05 on a breathalyzer test. State law says that .10 is the minimum for a drunken driving conviction. Stateville, the annual Easter weekend old-time fiddlers convention, which has attracted as many as 150,000 young people in the past years, have been postponed indefinitely while the courts decide whether the postponement will remain permanent. District Attorney H.W. Butch Zimmerman said Thursday that the hearing will be held on March 24th in his petition to permanently close the 56-year-old festival that had been since 1970 on Pierce Family's farm in northern Iredell County. And talking to the festival to the court, Zimmerman said upon use of illegal drugs, sex, and violence made the festival a public nuisance and said it would be permanently shut down. At December hearing says the petition would be continued at the request of Runaway's attorney. Demand ideas that the nuisance be abated, said Zimmerman. I'm hoping to put an end on this whale thing by March 24th in this whole thing. A temporary restraining order halting preparations for the Strong Music Festival will be in effect until the hearing. Sheriff Leroy Rounds said last year's festival was monitored by 136 officers from several agencies made 170 arrests. Zimmerman said he would be conferred several times with Alan Bailey of Charlotte and Hoy's attorney. He said Bailey has made several proposals last time that were none were anything serious. Meanwhile, some officials were wondering whether thousands of persons who didn't realize that the federal the festival probably won't be held this Easter will show up at Fenway's farm anyway.
They marked the lives lost following the events of the Boston Marathon.
Fort Monroe Virginia Brigadier General F. Cecil Adams Jr. has been charged.
And I think
She's were cleared that he condoned cheating in recruiting programs while serving as East Coast recruiting commander. The Army said Thursday. The dismissal of charges came after a detailed preliminary inquiry found that there are no evidence to support the charges nor the warrant prevailed nor different charges that against General Adams, according to Lieutenant Colonel W.G. Smith, spokesman for the Army training and doctrine command in Fort Monroe. Adams, who was at training post at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, has been accused of condoning cheating to meet enlistment quotas. The charge was filed by Sergeant Lily B. Clay, who was facing recruiting fraud charges stemming from her work in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Adams says one of the 3 top commanders accused by a group of North Carolina recruiters of condoning enlistment fraud. The charges stem from an Army probe in which more than 200 recruiters were relieved of duty last year. Gastonia, the director of the Student League Cup from the University of North Carolina, said he considered canceling the club's performance in Gaston County last week because of white stolen notations on lodge inside and up sheet. However, Director Carl Stem said since we were 150 miles from home and he had 3 more days on the road, we decided to go ahead with the shows. Under agreement between the men's and women's glee clubs and Gastonia County's public school system, hazardous for the singers would be provided by local homes on a voluntary basis. Sign-up sheets were provided to the singers when they arrived in Gastonia, asking them to choose a home for the night. R.W. Dorpner, Assistant Superintendent for Schools, said that the sheets were handled by local course members. He blamed the incident on short notice that the glee clubs would be performing. Sam said several singers came to him when they first saw the sheets. Most of the black students weren't all that surprised. He said many of them were said that they had seen similar things before. Mostly it said white students were surprised.
Finalist in the title of Unstoppable Mom on the Kelly and Mike.
Raleigh, the science advisor to Governor Jim Hunt, has suggested that the state consider giving commodities funds as incentives for allowing hazardous waste to be buried in these areas. Quentin W. Lindsay told the Legislature Study Commission on Hazardous waste that a surcharge paid by producers of toxic or low-level radioactive waste could be under barrels that's more acceptable. Lindsay, a member of the state administration,
online voting begins March 13th.
Post studying toxic waste problems and sending sites more acceptable to communities was a firm had to be resolved. I don't think that's a bribe or something of that nature. I think it's really recognition of that fact that to be attention. Study says children not slaves to television. Panel rejects women draft registration plan. Atlanta Airport seems on its way to becoming the world's largest.
Persistent, as you know.
Reagan says Ford already waiting in the wings.
You know by now.
Courts told to provide equal opportunities and report alleged prisoners mistreated in Cuba. Okay, now the weather now. Cheryl, Tony, take away Cheryl. Okay, thank you very much. Right now, congregations at...
So it's been very persistently cold. There's a little bit of a...
6 o'clock reports in Raleigh-Durham Airport. We got temperature 61 degrees with a dew point about 51 degrees. Humidity 70%. Barometer 3.15 inches. Visibility 6 miles. Wind south-southwest with 8. Condition drizzly skies. Around the region, it is now up to 62 degrees out in Raleigh, 58 in Greensboro, 56 in Winston-Salem, 62 in Asheville, 62 in Charlotte, 67 in Sanford, 70 in Goldsboro, 61 in Fayetteville, 65 in Kinston, 65 in New Bern, 64 in Hatteras, 62 in Elizabeth City, 63 in Jacksonville, 68 in Wilmington, North Carolina, 71 in Fayetteville, 72 in Flint, South Carolina, 61 in Myrtle Beach, 70 in Charlestown, 71 out in Columbia, Charleston, 70 degrees. That's 57 in Greenville, 58 in Anderson, 71 in Augusta, 16 in Tilton and South Carolina, 70 out in Savannah, 74 in Macon, 55 in Atlanta and Athens and in Rome, 53 in Chattanooga, 58 up in Anderson, 57 in Greenville, South Carolina, 62 in Asheville, 53 in Knoxville and Chattanooga, and 60 out in Kingsport, Tennessee. Yeah? Alright, let's take a look at our national forecast. Heavy snow gusty winds have traveled across the mountains of central Arizona early today, but rain diminished to a sprinkle in southern California after pelting much of the area with up to an inch of water. Snow expected to fall, which it did from New England across the upper Ohio Valley to the lower Great Lakes.
High level winds are going to steer it eastward, so it never really makes sense.
Nebraska, Iowa, and the Central Rockies to Arizona. Showers and severe thunderstorms are expected over to the area from the eastern Texas to the Gulf Coast and the southern Appalachians. Snow fell early today from the Central Rockies into the Central Plains. Scattered snow showers were reported in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and New York. Temperatures around the nation before dawn range from 12 below at Rosecliff and Devil Lake in North Dakota to 71 degrees in Key West, Florida. Alright, let's take a look at our...
Not nearly as cold as so many have been preceding
Forecast for North Carolina. Southerly winds float over to North Carolina today, bringing warmer temperatures and moisture that promise something of a warm, wet weekend. Developing low pressure systems set for the stage for the increase in cloudiness for today, and the western part of the state was expected to get some rain in the evening, with some rain likely reaching the mountains earlier. By tonight, rain likely to spread across the entire state. Saturday will be windy and warmer with showers and thunderstorms likely. Highs generally will be ranging up in the 70s. Sunday's outlook calls for clear and cooler conditions as a cold front trail in the low pressure system moves offshore. Patches and dense fog develop around daybreak today in the Charlotte area and then over much of the southern Piedmont.
Total in Boston, this was last season. So if that storm does pan out, we may be in the vicinity of...
Okay, let's take a look at our forecast for the Triad. Rain is in the forecast for this evening, and then Saturday it's possibly rain is 30% today, 80% tonight, and 40% Saturday. Part windy mild will come either possibly rain on Saturday, as high temperatures are expected in the upper 60s and low 70s. The low temperatures tonight should be in the upper 40s, and winds from the 10 to 15 miles per hour today from the south, shifting into the southwest tonight. Temperatures will be warm enough Saturday to trigger some thunderstorms. A 3-day outlook for the 3-day extended forecast. For Sunday for Tuesday calls for clear and colder Sunday with increase of cloudiness Monday and a chance of rain Tuesday. High Sunday will be in the upper 40s, while highs Monday, then Tuesday should be in the 50s and 60s, and lows will be mostly in the 30s to 40s. And that is going to be it for the
three of the Red Sox starting 5-man.
weather now. Don Shea will have the sports. Take away, Don. Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Much unexpected in the name of the game. The East Regional South, last night in the Coliseum, was parallel basketball. Both Tennessee and Iowa relied on powerful inside attacks to turn back foes, which could offer little resistance. The ball swept 7 conference full Furman 89-69 in Big Ten power. Iowa whipped Virginia Commonwealth 86-71. That victory sent the 2 winners against ACC clubs Maryland and North Carolina State, teams that gained buys in the second round Saturday at the Coliseum. Iowa will meet North Carolina State at 1:45 p.m. Saturday. Wow. Tennessee will face Maryland 4:15. Tennessee keen offense around All-American candidate Reggie Johnson and Howard Wood. Both walks in the middle of the ball's attack, was able to beat and offset the presence of Furman's Jonathan Moore. Meanwhile, Iowa used its pro-sized front line to shut down Atman VCU. The Rams would advance the NCAA play by virtues of the Sun Belt Tournament Championship, just going to keep pace with Iowa's middle power. Maryland's Albert King was top player in the ACC. Albert King from Maryland averaged 27 points a game. In Washington, North Carolina State has offered DeMatha High School basketball coach Morgan Woodton at $700,000 over 5 years, including fringe benefits for the job of coaching the Wolfpack, according to Friday's Washington Post. Although Wooden maintains he has not made up his mind, the Post quotes sources saying that Woodeman and North Carolina State Athletic Director Willis Casey have reached a strong verbal commitment over contract board. In terms, Wooden said Thursday that he intends to make a decision about it this afternoon after consulting with his family and friends. The Post reports that Wooden's salary would be to the $45,000 and $50,000 range, and that Camp's television shows and endorsements would account for the rest of the projected income. Wooden, one of the most successful high school basketball coaches the country, has turned down in numerous college offers. However, 2 stars of the 78-79 team, Sidney Law and Derek Wittenberg, are Wolfpack freshmen this year, making their job very appealing. Wooden, 48, is a family man, however, and has 3 teenage daughters he does not want to force to relocate.
Reminded doing a tribute to myself and also
West Lafayette, Indiana, although Pennsylvania, as a point guard James Salters admit he was surprised to be back in a winning NCAA dressing room. His broad dribbling grin gave him one way in the aftermath last night, 63-55 upset of Washington State. Not the grin feigned when Salters was reminded that he and his green grass teammates must square up against 14th ranked ACC Conference champion Duke in tomorrow afternoon's second round of NCAA East Regional play. I felt all along that we have a good enough chance to win the Ivy League title and reach the NCAA, and once there, it's a game time proportion.
They're just 4-26 against teams at 500 or better, but 16-15 against sub-500 teams, which makes the Celtics one of the better bad teams. So Paul Pierce is back.
Lauderhill, Florida. Danny Etheridge said he finally has reminded that golf is a really important thing to me, and for that reason he has abandoned a brief career as an auto race driver to return to PGA Tour on a full-time basis. I'll be playing as much on the morning I have, Etheridge said after talking in the first round on Thursday with a 6-under par. 6-6 in the $300,000 Jackie Gleason and anniversary classic after racing will just be fun now. It's just when I used to take a break for the tour. Said Edwards, 38, who has been a part-time performer in the PGA Tour for the past couple seasons. Years in which he concentrated his efforts on the auto race circuit. There were times when I became very discouraged playing golf, said Edwards, a former winner of the Greater Greensboro Open, but through seasons which produced moderate success to a race car driver, convinced him to return to golf. Golf is the most satisfying when you do it well. He said, I have given my life to golf. I have think the talent and ability to play it well. Maybe at some time my game will come around to the point where I can play that I'm capable of playing. So it's close to a first round over the 132 yard in very golf club course. It seemed awful today. He said that the round that was finished off with a back 9 to 32. For 33, and I missed numerous opportunities. He said it was 90s for Jack Nicklaus, however. My back 9 was tough. Nicklaus said he started from the 10th tee in warm sunny weather and reeled off an impressive string of 5 consecutive birdies beginning in the 10th hole. The same 5 holes he birdied to beat Greer Jones at a spectacular finish at a 1978 tournament. But the time I let it go out of playing 9 more holes, that's tough, and I played it tough. He had one putt twice to save bogey and played his next 7 holes 3 over. But in the 8th hole, the 17th of the day, he whipped a monster drive out of the 330 yards and had an iron to the green. Under the 79 yard hole, he had put it 4 feet from the flag and it made an eagle putt that salvaged at 49. After a 69, after that good start, it looked like I was going to give it away. I'm very happy to get it out with a 69. Nicklaus attempted to come back from the only non-winning year of his unmatched career. Obviously was pleased with his effort. And not with his progress, my game is coming around. It's just a matter of time. It's be nice if it was this week, but if it then it'd just be a little later. I'm playing pretty well now. Having said I'm not playing, I'm enjoying practicing. There aren't enough hours on the day for me. I'm working, trying to improve and having a ball. Nicklaus said.
Award-winning customer service, the highest trade-in value, the largest selection, and the lowest.
While he was having a ball, Lee Trevino is having the most solid effort of the day. Trevino is usual, keeping in a non-stop conversation with his gallery. At every green in regulation, didn't even come close to making a bogey and was one of the large group at 6-7-8. Single about back of Edwards. So in that position were Chichi Rodriguez, Bob Murphy, J.C. Steen, Andy North, and veteran T-Whit Weaver and Bill Kennard, who blew a share of the lead with a bogey on the final hole. Defending champion Larry Nelson was in a group. 68 master champion Fuzzy Sales shot a 69. U.S. Open title holder Hale Warren struggled with a 75. British Open King's Xavier Best to Spain opened his 1980 season with a 71. PGA champ David Graham on Wall Street had a 76. In Oakland, new players in the Super Bowl of litigation engulfing the Oakland Raiders prepares. Shift to Los Angeles to 2 young fans who must file suit in Oakland claim their souvenirs are worthless if the team moves.
Coming up next.
We'll see you at 11. Have a good night.
From morning tonight.
Tampa, Florida baseball. Club owners graded the players.
Watched local news. WTVD News Center 5.
Don't expect to strike. Well, give us 3 step reports on Thursday and could see no reason for a walkout. The players have been waiting to see when the Players Association never have. The board asked the firm and that the arbitration to call striking or after April 1st to show collective bargaining and agreement isn't reacted.
Square feet of American-made solid wood furnishings at La Chance Furniture. Choose from over.
We're scheduled to open April 9th for the baseball season. Both Gravy, chief negotiator for the owners and baseball commissioner Boyd Kuhn, said today due to the reason for the strike and believe an agreement can be reached. Gravy says I'm conflicting with the owners player relations committee. There are days where which was attended by Kuhn. Kuhn took a low-key response for the strike threat, insisted that there would be no present emergency at this point of the 17-week-old negotiation. Both good have had the agreement compensation.
When you have a problem like
well, term was the 20th mentioned in the 24 negotiation sessions held. The owners demanded a change to the system and now gives them an amateur draft pick for a losing player and a regulatory draft at its most serious issue on the table, Kuhn said.
We understand the genes that make cancer.
Grammy explained that owners' proposition on the re-entry draft is long and complex, but the bottom line is that owners want to protect 15 players and then allow a team losing a top-ranking free agent to pick any player if it is on the 45-man roster. Let them protect we are not seeking to eliminate the free agent drafts at Gravy. We are not seeking a real similar to football, baseball, or basketball or hockey. We're seeking more compensation rights Gravy elaborated by saying that if a player of free agent status that's selected in free entry draft by less than 4 teams, there were no compensation in 4 to 7 clubs pick a player, the injured team will get the same amateur draft pick now, provided if the free agent is drafted by 8 to 13 teams, the club is losing, the player would be the most amateur choice in. And then of a minor major league player left unprotected, the club does pick an unprotected player and must be included on a 25-man roster. On the least, the first All-Star unless released by the lack of ability to be traded. Couldn't discard a player's track record. That is a kind of thing to expect the stage to negotiate. I really don't even speculate, but I don't want a strike, Quinn said. And that's gonna be it for Eyewitness News on 11 and Giver on this March 7, 1980. I'm Bob Hughes alongside Beverly Burke and alongside Joe 20 and John Station. Good evening, come in next time. Channel 11 will be the CBS Evening News. Walter Cronkite will be back, fellows. Eyewitness News, 11 o'clock edition. Have a good evening. We'll see you at 11. Have a good evening.